Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning into my channel. I'm Jenny. Now, before I begin this week's Cosmic Vibes energy from the 19th to the 26th of January, I have a couple of announcements to make. So, I'm going live right here on YouTube on the 30th of January, Friday, offering free clairvoyant readings. So make sure you stay tuned in on that day, 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, or 2 p.m. Eastern, if you want to ask me a question, or if you want a very detailed reading, book through my website, soulworkwithjenny.com. Now, there's something I've been keeping to myself, and only very limited people know. Next week's Cosmic Vibes video, starting on the 27th for that week, I'm going to have a very special guest on my video with me. That's right. You heard it. I'm not going to tell you who. You're going to have to stay tuned. You are going to have to stay tuned. Things are happening, things are moving forward. However, let's look at this week's energy. Now, I want you guys to look back, if you can remember, to December 2020. If you can remember, what were your dreams during that time? Were you setting, and you know what, I'm going to now make these dreams happen in 2021, let's say. This is what I'm going to do. And they're usually very big dreams, like I'm going to move far away, or I'm going to get married, or I'm going to have a baby, or like something big like that. And then it's like, oh, that didn't happen. It didn't happen for like whatever reason. This is when you're going to see divine timing. So whatever it was back then, like I know exactly what was going on for me that time, and I'm like, actually, this is a year it very well could happen that I do that, because we have the fire horse energy. We have the universal 1 year. This is when things are going to move forward. So those dreams that you're like, this is when you're going to make it happen this year. That's right, this year. Make sure you watch my predictions video for 2026. I put that video out, I think it was the first week of December. So make sure you watch that, because a lot of what I have said already is happening and has happened. So it'll give you some kind of a guidance, what to expect, how we can work through it, and so on and so on. But look back to that time and really take a look at what is it that you want to do and move forward with. You're going to see those clues coming in this week. You're going to be like, I'm actually getting more pulled in that direction right now to do this or to do that. Do it. Now is the time to make that happen. So we are also moving into Aquarius season. Happy birthday, my fellow Aquarians. How many of you guys are Aquarius out there? Aquarians. Aquarius, they love the water, of course. Look at the dolphins here. I love this background. It's one of my favorites, actually. I love Hawaii, as you guys all know. So, but anyways, so let's talk about the 19th and the 20th of January. What's going on that day? You're still going to be feeling the after effects from that new moon in Capricorn. I talked about that in my last video. I can give you a lot more details. You're still going to kind of be feeling that hangover a little bit, as I call it. New moons, full moons, it's the energy is still very much prominent. If you look outside, you could see more stars with the new moon, or if there's a full moon, you'll still see it, and so on and so on. You're going to feel that energy even more. So your sleep could be off and on, and you could be a lot more motivated. We're literally moving into the season of the eclipse in February. Like, oh my God, eclipses are life-changing. Expect the unexpected. So many different things can happen during the eclipse, but we're going to talk about that later. I don't like to get too far ahead, because I like to talk about the week and the daily energy of how we can utilize this to the fullest. So this is when you're going to take more creative steps forward. You're going to be more bold with decision making. We still have that Venus energy. So that Venus energy does, stand with relationships, as I mentioned. It'll make you see the truth where your relationships are with others. It'll give you that time to, I got to make some decisions here, no matter what it is. It's like, I got to cut this person off. They're very toxic, or I need to set boundaries, or I just don't want to get involved. Or, oh my gosh, I'm really loving my partner right now. I'm loving my friends and certain people we connect with. You're going to want to be more with that. You guys have really transformed. Really look back to last year at this time to see where you are now. You've really let a lot go. So you're going to be like, I just need to stay closer with my soul tribes. They get me. They understand me. They accept me. Yes. You don't have to walk on eggshells with your soul tribe. You can be yourself. When you're not being yourself, that's not your tribe. So you could find that you could be even attracting more like magnetic connections to you. A lot of attractions are going on. Maybe you're like, "Ooh, I'm going to reach out to that person now. Maybe I'm going to go see them." All of that kind of stuff is happening. Similar to kind of the Valentine's Day, but yet not the same, right? Valentine's is during the eclipse, so that could be like an oh my God moment. But we'll talk about that at another time. So the 21st and the 22nd of January, you're going to find that you're going to be making more personal commitments to yourself. What is it that you want to commit to? It could be a health plan, health regime. It could be working on your projects. It could be making a commitment that I'm going to renovate my place. Like whatever it is, you're going to feel that commitment coming to you even more from your heart. More from your heart. You're going to be getting that pull. So that's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, boom, that soulmate could reach out to you during that time as well. Maybe they will commit to you. I'm going to make more of a serious commitment to you. Let's step it up a notch. Let's move in together. Let's get married. I'm going to make a commitment to you. Let's be exclusive, like all of those kinds of things. So you're going to find that your heart's going to be expanding even more, but you're going to see a lot more clarity with the direction you're going to move into. Like, how amazing is that? You're going to be like, yeah, I know, I can just feel that I'm on the right path right now, because your intuition is going to be a lot stronger. Really listen to your heart. This is when it's like we need to make decisions from our heart. Listen to your head, of course, right? But even, like I had a couple of major decisions to make, and I'm like, what, my head tells me to go this way, but my heart is that way. Listen to your heart. And I'm glad that I didn't go that direction. You know what I mean? So look back on that, like really look back on that and see where things are going. So the 22nd and 23rd, or the 23rd and the 24th, new beginnings. You could have a little bit of fear that day, by the way. However, this is important to let those fears go from the past. You could be making decisions during the 23rd and the 24th that's connected to your heart. You could get triggered. Maybe you're going to commit to somebody and you're like, oh my God, my last relationship, oh, I don't know, it's not going to work, because let those fears go. Just look back at, what did you learn from that? What changes can you make now with this new beginning? And magically enough for me, the 24th is something that I'm doing, which you will see in the next video, however. So this is when you could very well be healing still from the past, from fears, from even patterns. We all have toxic patterns and behaviors with certain things, and this is when it's going to be like, what, I got to really, oh boy, I got to work on this still. Yes, of course. This year, the energy will work with you. So you could find that you're going to be doing things a little differently. You could be doing, yeah, I need to do this and I need to do that. I'm making these new decisions with this, but because of my experiences from the past, from what I learned, I'm going to be handling things differently right now. So you're going to be making more conscious decisions. You're going to be taking more risks and being more courageous with things because you're going to be a lot more motivated and optimistic. But yet in the back of your mind, you could be having that little bit of fear coming in, right? You know, when we make certain decisions, it could be, we could be like, I don't know. Oh my God, let those fears go because this is when things are going to be moving forward for you right now. And it's where you're leading towards. So it very well could be connected as well to the 20th, 2020, December, that time frame with certain decisions you're going to make. Whew, wow. I can actually kind of see now that I want to make that happen. You could get triggered during the 23rd and the 24th more this week than the rest of the week. But it's that seed that was planted back in your mind then that you're going to be like, I was actually looking at two decisions, let's say back then, let's say, and I wasn't sure, I'm pulled to make this decision that way, or I'm pulled to make that decision that way. Always look at the pros and the cons with everything, follow your heart, but your intuition is going to be pulling you more and more and more and more. Be open for the signs from spirit as well. They're with us a lot more with all of these crazy changes in the world. Watch my predictions video and you'll see more about that. So as we move into the 25th and the 26th, take a look at what decisions you made on the 23rd, 24th. You could still be feeling that fear a little bit, but listen to your heart. You made the right decisions when you're finding more peace in your heart that, I'm moving forward with this decision. I can just feel it. That is just the right thing to do, no matter what anybody else says. Listen to your heart, follow your own footsteps. So you will see more clarity during this time. Your intuition is going to be even stronger. And you are going to be even, writing down dreams. What steps do you need to take to get there? Oh, but I want to do all this and this. I want to buy land and I want to put property there and I want to build a ranch. I want like whatever it is. Well, that doesn't happen overnight. Write it down. Don't worry about when. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. Really listen to your soul's calling because you very well could see your soul's purpose, your soul's direction opening up more and more and more. Really pay attention to that. And I'm hearing turquoise crystals for somebody for some reason. That was coming in very, very, very longer. I'm literally seeing turquoise. So some of you are looking at making a choice of turquoise or buying a turquoise crystal or something. That's the direction. Yes, that's the right thing. It's connected to turquoise, native energy, shaman energy with something. Maybe some of you are getting pulled to be like a shaman. Maybe some of you are getting directed towards more in the desert, Mexico, New Mexico, Arizona, places like that. Really pay attention to that because that could get louder and louder and louder for you. So when I get messages coming through that are pretty loud, I like to say it. And also to turquoise too, by the way, it's like it's good for your health. So if I was feeling a little kind of off, I would be wearing like, I don't have any on now, but I would be wearing like turquoise jewelry, turquoise crystals, right? Because that can help with your health and so on as well, by the way. So, there you go. You're gonna really understand like more why things are coming together. You very well could see more synchronicity right now. You're going to understand now. I get it why things didn't happen back then, or this, or with that, because I had to go through this, or I had to end that, or I had to start this in order to get me to that direction. So reflect back, really reflect back onto where you are now because you're transforming. We might not feel it. Like last year 2025 was a very difficult year for a lot of us, coping with so many different things. Of course, we still have the leftovers from January and February, that we have to resolve or deal with and such like that to really move it in the new year, starting the 17th of February and so on and so on. So you're going to find that there very well could be some old wounds resurfacing as well right now, because we have that Chiron energy, which is the old wounds, old wounded healer. So don't, like whenever you start to have those memories with certain things in the past, don't just ignore it and push it aside. Really embrace it. Like I could get triggered myself on the 24th. I know I will. But it's like let the past go, let those fears go, embrace the new. But you could very well still have some, and also too, this week, this week from the 19th to the 26th, really pay attention to messages that you're getting from someone that has passed on. It could be like a friend, a relative. It very well could be like maybe a pet that's passed on. Really pay attention to those messages that you're hearing or feeling this week, because that person or your animal very well could come into your dream and give you more of a message with certain decisions you're making this week as well. So I'm also an animal communicator, so I talk to my animals who have passed on and so on and so on, and also loved ones and that. So really pay attention to that. Like don't brush it aside, because when you're seeing messages from people that have passed on that or your animals, that's actually them. Pay attention to those messages that you're getting from them. If you don't understand what your dreams have said to you, book a reading with me. I'll tell you exactly what the message is for you and so on. So this is when, like I'm saying, really let the past go, because you're going to be making more conscious choices now, and you have to trust your path. You could have that little fear, of course, but just trust the path where it's going to right now. Don't make any sudden rash decisions right now. When you're making certain decisions, it's different if you guys made a decision from before and everything's coming into alignment. You know what I mean? With this, and that, you're renovating a home, and it's like, yeah, we're going to start again. We bought certain supplies and everything, like that's fine. But just pay attention to any rash decisions that are major on the 25th, 26th, even this week, just really kind of, all right, let me just really look at that. Like new opportunities come at any time. Sometimes we just immediately know, yes, that's the right path for me. And sometimes you're like, I don't know. Pause on that, I don't know, and really review everything, because you're going to start seeing your self-worth even more this week. You very well could be a lot more spontaneous at making all of a sudden rash decisions to do this and that. And that's okay, as long as it feels right. Even this morning, I had an appointment booked for today with something, and I'm like, I'm not going to that. I read into that energy, and I'm like, no, I'm going to reschedule that. I'm not going today. I can already see how it's going to go. I don't have the patience for that. I'll go, So we can read into certain situations. So when certain decisions, it's like, how does that feel for me? Right? Don't rush in. So, relationships is the key right now. You're going to be, your eyes are going to open, seeing that truth. It's going to be like, I'm not going to talk to that person because, oh, it could create drama, or we just don't see eye to eye. There's certain connections we have where we're like, it doesn't matter what I say to that person. They argue, or it doesn't matter what I say to that person. They don't listen. They think they're right, or this or that. Why would you waste your time? So, sometimes, I just sit back and right, okay, yeah, okay, take care. I don't get involved, because it's like, why waste my energy on that? So you're going to see that this week. And it's not that you're saying I'm better than you. No, it's just that I don't want the drama. I don't want the drama. I just want to keep things low key. I want to really take a look at finding my own peace, no matter what it takes. Like the appointment I canceled, I'm like, I don't want that today. I don't want to deal with that today. No, I'd rather have my own peace. and think of, positive things, right? So really pay attention to that and be really honest with yourself. I mean, you know what's working for yourself with relationships. You know that. And you know what's not connecting the dots with that. Defending yourself. Why are you putting yourself around people when you constantly have to defend yourself? For what reason? Is that not wasting energy? Is that not getting yourself in more negative energy that can throw your entire day off? Yes, some certain situations we have to deal with. Of course we do. Of course we do. I won't let anybody walk over me. I'll squash them real quick, you know. But this is when you're going to be like that self-worth. I deserve better than this. Like, mm-mm. So pay attention to that. So now I'm going to pull a couple of cards. I don't use cards when I do my readings because I'm clairvoyant psychic medium. I do your past life, Akashic records, animal communication. I combined everything. Depends what you're looking for. So I'm going to pull a couple of cards here just to see what the spirit world has to say for you. And of course, not everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, that's cards for me. Of course not. But some of you will resonate with the card. Let me know what's going on. Let me know. So because this energy is about relationship, I've pulled out one of my relationship decks. And we're going to ask what's the message from the spirit world from the 19th of January to the 26th. The 19th to the 26th of January. What is our, wow. Now, the card that fell out, calling in your soulmate. Like, oh my God, what was I just talking about? Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. Did I not say that this could be a week where your relationships are going to deepen? You very well could be making more of a commitment towards each other. You very well could be like, oh, wow, I just heard from someone. They asked me out, or maybe you're going to reach out to someone, or so on and so on. Wow, look at that. Like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. It's not crazy. I'm used to that. I get signs all the time from the universe. But so I pulled out one of my crystal decks too, because especially when I heard turquoise energy coming in for turquoise crystals, especially for some of you, maybe you're going to get creative with turquoise, or painting with turquoise colors, or turquoise jewelry, or something, right? So let's ask, what's the message? The 19th to the 26th. What's the message? This also has animals on this deck too, animals and crystals. So let's just find out the 19th to the 26th. What's the message? Oh, wow. So this card here, of course, this is a turtle card that fell out. I am a determined person with the strength to follow through with what's best for me. Turtles move slowly, don't forget. They don't rush anything. Remember how I talked about making a rash decision? Be careful. I'm strong, healthy, and unwavering in my body, mind, and spirit. I am comfortable and feel at home in my body. My connection with the cycles of the moon and planets is strong. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. And the crystal actually on the back is, I'll probably pronounce it wrong, Presolite, Prasiolite. The energy from the crystals on the back of this card, by the way, it says, do you stay the course and follow through on a task until completion? Question mark. Are you able to recognize the value of the nature of life? Do you still feel at home in your skin? Hasten slowly and maintain a steady focus towards your goals. Spiritual practice is just that, practice. Connect with the cycles of the moon and the planets to embrace the natural ebb and flow of living. So we still have that moon energy as well with that new moon in Capricorn that I talked about last video. So slow and steady, of course, always wins the race. It really does. When we push things before it's time, what happens? It falls apart. Doesn't come together properly. So let's just pull a couple other cards here. Let's just take a look at now. Before I use my decks, I clear them before I use them here, because if you don't clear it, it brings your energy into it or whoever last used your deck. So make sure you clear your decks. So the 19th to the 26th, what is the message for us? Maybe you're going to start your vision board, you know, like you can do that at any time. Landing card fell out. Like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's a beautiful fairy dragon, as I call it. Landing. You know, landing is very well, where do you want to land in life? Like, do you want to move? Do you want to land a new job? Do you want to move to a new location? You know, really pay attention to, as I mentioned, the dreams from 2020 December. Where do you want to end up in? Like, do you want to move long distance? Do you want to maybe get engaged in a year or start a family in a year? Maybe you want to work on a project. Where do you want it to, you know, end? Where do you want it to start? Where do you really want to land? You know, you have your wings, you know, the dragon fairy energy in here, you know, like literally she can fall away. And with it, the number 10 representing the one, for this is the one universal year, new beginnings. Take a look at as if there was like a blackboard and it was all filled with chalk and stuff on it. I would say, hey, where's that eraser? Let's just erase that blackboard. Now grab the piece of chalk and start rewriting your story. Where do you want to land? What's your goals? What's your finale on your goal? Wow, how cool is that? So now how many of you are going to be joining me on the next video to see who my special guest is? You're going to be surprised. But for those of you who know, you're not going to be surprised. And how many of you are going to be joining me and asking me for a free reading on the 30th? Make sure you follow me on Instagram, Jenny G. Cousins. My team posts up information there for you as well and other content. I have a group on Facebook, Higher Vibes with Jenny G. Cousins. Join me in there. So from that time on, I will talk to you on next week's Cosmic Vibes.